in my hometown in Utrecht, and I was really curious what's going on over here. We're just in front of a new trailer. It's day zero in front of the trailer. That's where we start the road tour with Huawei about green and digital. I'm here with Dennis Dalsijn. You're the CTO for the enterprise business at Huawei. It's a beautiful one. It's not ready yet.
No, it's for sure it's not ready.
It's day zero, but in one day we can do a lot of work. Yeah. But I'm really curious to understand it's digital combined with green. Can you explain why these two themes are key for the coming years for basically every enterprise business, every small business? Tell me all about it.
Yeah, it's all about added value to our end customers and the users of all the products we deliver to the market. And there you can think about industries like education, where we will improve the education environment with e-education, making sure that all the students are ready for the future. You can think about healthcare, where we have e-health, improvements with IoT solutions and the IoT strategies our customers have. But you can also think about manufacturing or retail environments where digital transformations are going on. If you go to the supermarket, for example, you will see these electronic shelf labels where they indicate the price. Everything is connected, and it brings a lot of efficiency to these kind of customers and their end customers going to the shops.
Yeah, and the digital part I understand, but we can dive a little bit more in detail. But yeah, the green part, if I'm either in education or whether I'm a retailer, why is this green part so important, and how can I as a company contribute to this green sustainable environment?
Yeah, sustainable is very important for everybody. So if you talk about education, my kid is going to school and I want to have a prospective and healthy future for her in the future. So it's very important for us all, and technology can add a lot of value to that. Think about the energy uses nowadays, also about cost. So saving energy in the technology we can deliver is key even. Bringing the right technology to make sure that happens, and it can be in different kind of technologies by the energy use, or making sure there's more consolidation in the environment, or making more use of fiber technology, for example. That is where we can show during this roadshow and really bring added value to our end customers.
And if we talk about technology, basically if you think about technology, it's a stack where on one end you have compute power, you have you have the cloud, you have your applications, you have the network. Can you step by step explain how digital is helping, what components are important, and then of course we're going to talk about green again. But let's first talk about this full stack. Start at the bottom. Where does it all start with?
It starts with the fundament, as we say. So it starts with the infrastructure of everything. You can start thinking about switches, or you can start thinking about storage solutions, data center environments. So if you look at an environment, on one side you have the data center where all that kind of components are being used to run the applications, to store the data. In between you have wide area networks where we can also deliver solutions. And on the other side you have the environments where our end customers and the end users are, where they bring their own devices or where they use the sensors in the environment to optimize whatever they want to optimize in that environment. And everything in between, that is what we can bring, and that is what we will also show during this roadshow.
But now I'm either a big enterprise or a small enterprise. I don't have a clue of every component in this full stack, what is important, what to choose. So if I'm an end user, what should I think about? How can you help me explaining which elements are important, each part of the stack basically?
Yeah, it depends on the industry you're in, of course. So if you're in retail, for example, these electronic shelf labels are very important. If you're in education, maybe the scheduling of the classes is very important. In healthcare, providing the health care to the patients is very important. So it's different kind of industries, but for each and every specific use case, we have the right solution either from ourselves or together with technology partners in our ecosystem. And these we can bring together with our channel partners in the environment to make sure we bring the added value needed in this environment. And that is different from customer to customer, from industry to industry. And that's exactly what we're going to show during this roadshow with the different booths we will have in the truck to indicate and show to each and every industry and customers coming to the booths what we can bring the difference.
Can we dive a little bit more into every industry? Start, for example, with education.
Yeah.
If we look to education, smart campus, I know is a very important topic for Huawei. How is education going to change the coming years, and what are you going to show during the tour?
Yeah, for education, you can also think about the smart screens, for example, the idea hubs, which we brought to the market just recently, a few years ago. We already introduced the new board, so the board 2, specifically for education. So it has all the interfaces, all the ports needed for education to connect the devices they bring to an environment like that. It is a board which is also good for the students or the pupils basically going to the class, because the screens we selected has special blue light filters, for example, so that they don't get tired watching the screen all day. It has smart ways of writing or drawing on these boards with a very low latency, so it's not slow. It is like writing on a whiteboard or on a green board even. So that's basically what we can bring, even with a simple screen, to an educational environment. But also more and more important in these kind of environments is the environment itself, the temperature, the humidity, all that kind of stuff. Sensors are being used, and these sensors we can connect into the network behind it, and making sure that all these kinds of sensors are being connected to the applications behind it to optimize the environment so that everybody feels comfortable and also healthy in these kind of. So it's in different ways. Talk about education, it can be real education or more for the environment itself.
Okay, and Dennis, before we go dive into the details from the different industries, I see we have a nice truck passing by. Let's go into the truck and see where we are. It's still under construction, really under construction, but it's great to see, and maybe we can dive in more details to see what industries you're going to help, and on the other hand, how it's going to be more energy efficient and good for the sustainable environment.
Yeah,
let's go. So Dennis, let's dive more into the industries that we're going to showcase during the whole tour. We're still under construction. Everybody's working very hard to get everything ready in the coming hours.
5 to 12 kind of, eh?
Yeah, it's 5 to 12 indeed, and it looks still, let's say, half ready, but it's just a matter of hours before it's ready, before the truck starts the tour and goes to the first stop. I think it's in Sweden.
Yeah, first stop is Sweden, and they will be ready for the first stop. So
everybody will be ready, but so far, let's talk about more in detail. We're talking about different type of industries. Let's start with education. If we look at education, now, it is very important for our children, for our future. How does digital help, and how does it help as well with being a sustainable digital campus, a sustainable education?
Everything helps, but it starts with the transition towards they are going. Being green is not something you start today. So it's basically the communication you have with the end customers and all the partners involved within that ecosystem to make sure that we bring the added value. And that can start very simple with changing an access point, for example. Changing an access point which will bring the connectivity needed to all the devices the students or the teachers will bring into that environment. But it will also help to reduce the energy use. It will also reduce all the components needed. Because in that one access point we bring all the technology needed for now and in the future. So not only Wi-Fi, but also different kinds of other wireless technologies to connect sensors, for example, to make sure that everything is connected and optimized going forward. That is what we can bring, the technology needed to go through that transition best.
And the energy part is the green aspects of everything what you do to be sustainable in the future.
It's a very important part of it. So the components we use in the products, of course, but also the energy use, especially nowadays, is very important. Not only for being green, but also for saving costs, for example. So if one access point can use like 20 watts less than the one you're using currently, and at the same time bringing more capacity, that will save a lot of money.
And these are all kind of hidden costs you normally don't even see, don't even notice.
But you have to pay. So it's very important. And that's what we can prove during this roadshow also.
And you will also show some other industries, for example, retail. There's many retailers listening right now. From the retail perspective, the digital part, I can imagine all kinds of possibilities for everywhere where you can use data, everywhere where you can digitize your retail, whether it's online or offline. And what's the green part in this case?
Yeah. So if you look at the retail, data is everything basically. And knowing what your customers want and how to position this in your shop, for example, that's key for marketing within a retail environment. And this data we can provide. So we can provide where these end users are in these shops by they connect via Wi-Fi, or you can use Bluetooth technologies to basically show and bring this data to these retail environments so they can improve the environment for marketing activities. You can use the same also for electronic shelf labels to indicate the price.
Yeah.
And if they want to be more competitive.
And you see we're live, so we have people running around, working very hard. But that's what's live.
It's needed to make sure that the truck is on the road.
Yeah, and that's behind the scenes, so.
It will go on the road today. So
yeah, so.
That's the reason why.
Correct.
We cannot stop them, right?
No. And we don't have to. So sorry, I was interrupting you.
No worries.
But explain me more detail about the retail part.
So price is very important also for these retail shops, because they are in heavy competition. So they want to make sure that the price is accurate to attract people. And they can do that from remote for all their shops at the same time. But they need technology for this. And this is basically the infrastructure we can provide. And together with solutions within our ecosystem with technology partners, we can bring a total solution so they have a really added value in their environment. And all together, by consolidating all these kind of environments, where in the old days they had multiple solutions being installed in this environment, we can bring it back basically to one. And by this consolidation, by using one infrastructure, we're also being more green, while at the same time offering basically more options for the future and better technology with better capacity at this moment already, right now.
And a very important industry is healthcare. Healthcare costs go up all the time, but digitization is a key part of it, but it still needs to stay human. So there's quite a balance.
Yeah, sure.
And energy consumption with all the equipment there is in the healthcare industry, it's an important topic as well. So how is healthcare looking now to improve their digitization? What are the key trends that you see in healthcare?
A little bit depends if it's cure or care. It's different kind of. You have hospitals and you have also elderly homes and that kind of environment. So healthcare is kind of, even within this healthcare industry, you have kind of sub-industries basically. So we also need to look into what is very important in one and what is more important in the other. And also their technology can bring a lot of improvements. So in a hospital, you can think about the storage solutions in the back end being used for all kinds of medical images and that kind of things. They need to store it for now, to do a diagnosis on the patient now, but maybe also looking into the future, doing all kinds of analysis on this data to improve healthcare going forward. This is needed. In an elderly home, it's more and more about making sure that you have focus on these people, that elderly people don't fall from their bed. So you have basically sensors which you either on their neck or on their armrests, if they fall out of bed, that there is an alarm. In mental health care, where you can track patients if they're still in the secure environment and that they're not drifting, for example. You can use all kinds of these technologies to bring better health to the patients and at the same time bring more efficiency to the healthcare staff, to the medical staff. And that's kind of what you can bring with the technology we can offer, with the total solutions going forward. And, whoa.
It will be working.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, and one of the other industries that you were touching about was the industrial and manufacturing industry. Look at manufacturing plants. How is the whole stack from compute, from cloud, from connected devices, from let's say applications, helping industrial places, manufacturers to digitize and to be still green?
Yeah. So in the old days, we used a lot of PLC technology, specific technologies for manufacturing environments basically. It's more and more going to IP. Same with healthcare, health domotics is basically key nowadays, and it's all going IP. That's the same in these manufacturing environments. And they also need to respond to the requests they get from the market, so they need to be dynamic. They need to be, they need to have the options and the possibilities to change these environments if needed. So if you look at the factories of Huawei as an example, today we produce storage equipment, tomorrow we will produce switches for in a network infrastructure, and a few weeks later we have to produce the smart screens like the ID hubs. So we need to adjust and modify these production environments. In the old days it was all cabled basically. Nowadays we can do it wirelessly, which will bring a lot of possibilities for this manufacturer, because we can now change it in a few days. We don't have to wait weeks to make this adjustment. This is what is helping our business. This is one of the reasons why we can deliver products in 2 weeks, for example, and don't have to wait for months.
Great. And one of the last industries I would like to touch is logistics. This is going on a truck, it's going to 72 places in the coming months.
Yeah.
But if we look to logistics, can you explain what are the key trends in logistics currently? How is it improved? How is it digitized? And how can energy saving and better optimal routing, for example, contribute to a sustainable environment?
Yeah, so if you look at the trucks, more and more are going electric or using different kind of even different kind of fuels to make it more green. And we can help as Huawei with all kinds of technologies also in the automotive industry. But now we're in a truck roadshow for enterprise business. So you're talking about office automation. You're talking about the connectivity towards the trucks to make sure that they can do everything basically digital in these trucks. They don't need papers anymore. Papers get lost. People need to do all kinds of manual writing and that kind of stuff. There's no need. There's just a display in the truck. Everything is digital. The planning of where the truck needs to go, it's digital in the end, and it's being shared with their end customers. So this company we're currently today, they provide us all the information digitally so that we can plan our roadshow, that we can visit all these countries in Europe in just a few months.
Yeah.
And digital transformations are needed to do this. Otherwise it will take way longer. And we can easily adapt also. So if we want to change the schedule or if we want to change the setup of the truck, we use digital technology to basically communicate with each other.
Yeah.
And that's what it can bring.
So Dennis, we discussed all the different kind of industries. I would like to see what's underneath, what's behind the scenes where it's all happening with collecting the data, processing the data at high speed. Shall we go into the corner of the truck? Yeah? So Dennis, we discussed these different industries. Now we want to look what's basically behind the scenes from hardware, how it's all operating, which is the backbone. Can you explain? We have hotels, education, we have fire to the office, fire to the home, different industries, retail. Can you explain what we see here behind and why this backbone is so important to have everything operational?
Yeah, so basically every industry needs a backbone and an infrastructure to make everything happen, to do the digital transformation they're looking for, to bring more efficiency. So in the data centers, they need the infrastructure for their applications, the data they store. So they need storage solutions, compute, networking equipment in the data centers. From there, they need to make the connectivity to where their end users are. So via wide area network connectivities, local area with switching, access points which bring the wireless technologies. That can either be Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or RFID, all kinds of wireless technologies needed to have a solution for the IoT strategies a hospital, for example, can have. And more we move towards using fiber technology in these kind of environments. Saying goodbye to copper-based cabling. Why? Because copper needs to be mined. That's not good for the environment. It uses way more energy, so it's less green. So going to fiber is the best way forward. Also future-proof because it can bring more bandwidth in the future. So that's why we have solutions like fiber to the office, fiber to the home, fiber to the room, or maybe even fiber to the machine. where we can have an answer based on fiber to an industrial environment or a manufacturing environment. So going from SME, small, medium enterprises, until the really big multinationals, large enterprises, we have the right solutions for their headquarters, for their data centers, and maybe even for their branch locations.
And depending on the use case, you need to define what's your priority and what kind of equipment you need to make it work for your use case.
In a small environment, we have the right access router, which can bring all the connectivities. In a big data center, we have the right storage solution or networking connectivity, which is needed in that environment.
Right. Let's go to the entrance again and see how far we are. So Dennis, we've been discussing the industries. We showed exactly what's underneath, how it is working, where the data is collected, where all the data is processed. This was a great tour. The Roadshow is almost ready to go ahead. We really want to thank you for watching our road tour here, the start of the road tour 2023, 72 places. We look forward to seeing you there. Don't forget to watch, because you can define what is your priority with your digitization, with your sustainable approach to have a safe future for our children, for ourselves, and a green planet.
Sounds great.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next time.